The two big events of the offseason draft process are now done. The Senior Bowl, the Combine. So how does everything stand? What does your big board look like? Well, today we're going to take a look at my big board, my top 150. So let's go ahead, get into this because, well, it's 150 prospects. Let's go ahead and start this sucker. And we're going to start, of course, from the bottom where I got DJ Campbell out of Texas. He performed really well at 6'3", 321 pounds at the Combine. The season was a bit uneven for him. That's why he finds himself here. And then tight end Joe Royer out of Cincinnati here at 149. Kind of a prototypical size, good block-in tight end that has some receiving upside. Cole Wisniewski, first player on this list not invited to the Combine, I believe, as far as I can recall. I have to go back and check that. You could fact check me right now. But the safety out of Texas Tech, I think he's a good player. I think he's a good box safety, which is why he's a bit lower on my list. Those guys just typically don't go that high. Dude flies around with his hair on fire. He was definitely a fun watch. I wish there was more interceptions this year. And I know he had like 8 interceptions in 2023 when he was playing for North Dakota State. But still, it would have been nice to see him do it in the Big 12. I got a couple of tackles here with some question marks. We got Isaiah World out of Oregon at 146 and then 147. We got Demetrius Crownover out of Texas A&M. These are guys with good tools, but for one reason or another, mainly, well, World and Crownover had very uneven seasons. That on top of World, I believe he tore his ACL. It was in the playoff game against Indiana, so that's why he's here, kind of that early day 3 grade. Cole Payton, I might as well speak about both Taylon Green and Cole Payton. Taylon Green, quarterback out of Arkansas, he's at 142, and then at 145 is Cole Payton out of North Dakota State. These are guys with really good tools, really good athletes as well. I'm not as high on Cole Payton's arm talent as probably the general consensus. And Taylon Green, man, dude can make the throws. The accuracy is inconsistent. The processor's a tick slow. There's just two guys I think that they probably begin their career at quarterback, but if they go through a position change, it won't surprise me. 144, Brennan Thompson, wide receiver out of Mississippi State. He's a speedster, but he's 5'9", 164 pounds. A guard, Jaden Roberts out of Alabama. He had a weird year where he had concussions and only got a handful of starts there at Alabama, but when he did, he was pretty darn good. He's got good traits. I'm surprised he didn't perform at the Combine, but we'll see him at his pro day. I just still kind of believe in the talent. This is a guy that I've been watching for the better part of 2 years now. And then we got Torian York, the linebacker out of Texas A&M, 6 foot, 235. He's like an okay athlete. He plays with that dog in him. He's fun to watch. He's fun to watch, but I think he's got a very limited ceiling. And then a 140 edge, Nadame Tucker out of Western Michigan. Dude's going to be 26 at the beginning of his rookie year. Not exactly ideal length, but a very good offseason draft process for him. So he had a bit of a bump. I think it was like a 6th round or a late day 3 grade on him before the Senior Bowl. And through the process of the Senior Bowl, the Combine, he's moved up considerably. Offensive tackle, Austin Barber out of Florida. Just kind of a good tackle that might have a moderate ceiling, but I think an okay floor. Could be a good backup in the NFL. And then at 138, I got Parker Brailsford out of Alabama. He was beat up during this season, and you could definitely tell. He performed really well at the Combine, but sub 300 centers, it's hard for me to fall in love with them unless they're like Tyler Linderbaum. That was kind of the asterisk during my scouting, my analyst career. But Parker Brailsford is a good player. It's just hard to bet on, especially not just sub 300, sub 290. Here, let's just scroll up here. As I got Deontay Lawson, actually Brailsford's teammate Here, I scrolled up too much. There we go. Deontay Lawson, linebacker at Alabama, Parker's teammate. He came in and weighing at 226. Honestly, I'm glad to see him at that weight because it was reported he was pretty thin. He was coming off the ACL injury in 2024, so it's not surprising he may have been 218 at his spring practices. So yeah, he's kind of weird because he's anywhere between, he's like 75 on my big board, or he's here at like 137. Carson Beck, quarterback out of Miami, he's here at 136. He's got an okay arm, struggles to push it down the field. Good accuracy, though. I just don't buy into him. I think he could be a good backup in the NFL, but that's about it. Got a couple of wide receivers at 134 and 135. Eric Rivers out of Georgia Tech, and then Kevin Coleman Jr. out of Missouri. Both undersized. Eric Rivers, speed demon, smooth mover. And then Kevin Coleman, just absolutely smooth. Kind of sucks Kevin Coleman, 4 years in college, 4 different schools. That's kind of questionable, but I'm kind of curious to see what it doesn't sound like anything. It doesn't. Rashid Shaheed is not close to an extension. That's a shame. But it'll be interesting to hear if anything comes out during the offseason about that. But ultimately, it sounds like it's a big nothing burger, but it's something worth bringing up. Damon Claiborne out of Wake Forest, the running back. Undersized, dealt with a lot of injuries this year, but kind of gutted through it. But he's explosive as hell. He's a good, I guess you say, scat back. I'm just saying he's a speed back that can give you some receiving upside. We love the NFL draft, and now my draft guide is available for purchase. It comes with over 500 player backgrounds and close to 300 player evals. It updates throughout the whole draft cycle. So when I add a new eval or I change my rankings, you're going to be the first to know. It's going to have all the pro day and combine numbers along with analytics, and it's a Google spreadsheet for right now. So you have to include your email with the purchase, but we will be switching over to a website at the end of the year. And if you get it now, it's going to be cheaper now than it will be later. It's a great way to support the channel. And as always, much appreciated, much obliged. Couple of corners here. At 131, Ephesians Prysock out of Washington, and then 132, Thaddeus Dixon out of North Carolina. Very similar sizes. Prysock a little bit bigger, but they're just good corners. I thought they had good weeks at the Senior Bowl, and then they went to the Combine and performed really well. I think Prysock probably had the most uneven season between the two, but I think Prysock maybe has a bit higher of upside. Romello Height, edge out of Texas Tech. He's here at 130. People are going to be like, wow, he's a day 2 player. Why are you so low on him? I don't think he could play the run in the NFL. I know he was all right against the run in college, but I just don't believe that he'll be able to do it in the NFL. He's going to be 25, entering his rookie year. He's undersized. I think he's a DPR. That's just kind of where I'm at with it. Linebacker Aiden Fisher out of Indiana, another guy that's kind of similar to Terrian York, where it's like, okay, like, you're fine, you're okay. Probably a solid floor with a low to moderate ceiling. Fisher, fun to watch, though. Cade Klubnik, quarterback out of Clemson, here at 128. I think he's got good arm talent. It sucks that last year was not great for him. Wasn't bad, but it wasn't spectacular. And you were kind of hoping that he was going to build off of that playoff game versus Texas, and it just didn't really happen. Will Lee out of Texas A&M, good size at 6'2", 189. He tested exceptionally well. You watch him play, great press man corner, gets physical. You just kind of love his style of play. Let's keep rolling because we got much to get through. As at 126, just outside of my top 125, Skylar Bell, wide receiver out of UConn. He will be 24, entering his rookie year. No biggie, tested well. Tape's really good. It's real fun, but he might end up being a slot player. I'm not saying the physicality isn't there. It's just, it might not translate to the NFL. Like his contested catches, I don't think they might translate to the NFL. A couple of tackles here. quote unquote. When it comes to J.C. Davis out of Illinois, he might end up being a better guard. That's kind of where I have him. He's here at 125, 124. Emil Wagner out of Notre Dame needs to get the power profile up. Not terrible though. Prototypical size, 6'6", good length. Had a good shrine, and I thought he looked good this season. And that is coming from someone who did not like his 2024 tape. Drew Aller here at 123, quarterback out of Penn State. I get it, tons of tools, but we've talked ad nauseum about Drew Aller. The dude just never showed, I think, he could be elite. There were flashes of it, but it never came up. He's firmly, I think, a developmental guy. Doesn't know how to throw with touch, at least consistently. At 121 and 122, I got a couple of wide receivers, as I have Deion Burks out of Oklahoma, vertical slot option, Antonio Williams out of Clemson. Just a solid slot option. I think they're both firmly solid slot players in the NFL. How high does that go? Well, I don't think they're extraordinary at any one thing, which is why they're here. We got a couple of tight ends. 119, Eli Raridan out of Notre Dame. And 120, Jack Endries out of Texas. They are very similar prospects when you look at the size and the testing. I like Raridan a little bit better, though. Got a couple of centers here at 117 and then 118. I have Logan Jones at Iowa and then Jake Slaughter out of Florida. Slaughter doesn't have the movement ability of Jones, but he's also not sub 300 like Jones. Granted, Jones is 299, so he's close. Jones didn't exactly test as great as I think many people expected. Don't get it twisted. His numbers were still hella good. Justin Jolie, tight end at NC State. He's here at 116. He put on the weight this year. I don't think he was nearly as explosive, but he was still very, very good. Very good. I'm always going to be a big fan of Justin Jolie. And then hold on for a minute while I break out the pronunciation. For 115, as is what I have right now, Billy Schrouth out of Notre Dame. I'm surprised. I had his spring numbers at like 6'2", 325, and he comes in at 6'5", 310. So I guess as good as mine. A little sad he didn't perform at the combine, though. His tape is fun. Injuries kind of been a thing for him over the last 2 years. He had the ankle injury in 2024, and then this year was a knee injury. Cage Casey, I have him as a guard, but he played tackle at Boise State. Suboptimal length, tested was very okay. I think he's going to be a good guard because of it. Justin Jefferson, linebacker out of Alabama, came in smaller than I was hoping, but he tested well. Speaking of small, we got Zane. Okay, that's not fair. Zane Durant, he may be 290. He's got like 32.5-inch arms. Absolutely dominated the combine. I still go back to Senior Bowl, and I do think Rashawn Benny stood out more. But I have Durant here at 112. Sam Heck, center out of Kansas State. Just a solid zone, outside zone type of center with it's kind of a smooth mover. There's going to be some concerns with the play strength, but I think he's just very solid, tested out well, looked good. I got Emmett Johnson, running back out of Nebraska at 110. And then at 109, I have Mike Washington Jr. out of Arkansas, who had a phenomenal combine. Emmett Johnson had the opposite of that. He was on the other end of the spectrum when it came to his combine. But I think if you watch their seasons, like with Mike Washington, he's not going to do anything creative. He's not going to break tackles. He's cut and go. He's big, tough to bring down, but also really fast. 4.33 speed. Emmett Johnson, I think there's a little bit more creativity. He had a missed tackle rate of 0.27, which if you're looking for guys in that higher percentile or that higher margin, high upside, typically it's anything above a 0.28. Emmett Johnson was just right there with it. Wide receiver, Josh Cameron out of Baylor, had a very strong Senior Bowl. I thought I have him here at 108. Not the best route runner, but great size. Can create after the catch. Very soft hands. At 107, Chandler Rivers out of Duke. Still firmly believe he's a slot. Really do. There you go, bud. Still firmly believe he's slot only in the NFL. Tested out better than I expected. So I really shot him up my board. I kind of had him in this middle day 3 area because I thought there were times where he did get exposed in the slot or by physicality. But I'm straight up. As far as athleticism, I didn't expect him to be a bad tester, but he tested way better than I expected. Makes me want to go back to the tape. At 106, Edge, Kyron Crawford out of Auburn. A guy that's still new relatively to the game of football. Still putting it together. Phenomenal athlete. So much so that Auburn will put him in coverage at times. At 105, safety Bud Clark out of TCU. I think he probably plays in the slot in the NFL, but he could play box and it'd be fine. He tested well, had a strong combine. If you go back to the tape, there were a lot of broken plays on his part, though, so keep that in mind. I believe he is going to be an older prospect. I think he's from the 2020 recruiting class. Yeah, he's from the 2020 recruiting class. Let's keep rolling. There we go. At 104 is Rashawn Benny out of Michigan. At 103 is Grayson Holton out of Oklahoma. Benny, and you could almost put Zane Durant up here as well, but Benny has the best length among those guys. Holton has the worst length. Holton and Zane are the better athletes. Benny simply, I thought, had the better Senior Bowl. It's kind of tough to rank these guys that are all sub 300 defensive interior players. That kind of matters because not a lot of sub 300 defensive interior players go on to be big difference makers. Yeah, you have your exceptions here and there, but that's important to note. Exceptions. So I kind of have them very similar, close to one another. At 102, Jayshawn Barham out of Michigan made the transition this year to full-time edge player. He was off-ball linebacker for Maryland and then for Michigan. Matter of fact, he was off-ball linebacker the first 2 games of this season before going to full-time edge. So there's a little rawness to his game as an edge player, but I think he's exceptionally strong. He can hold against the run. He can be a 3-down player in that regard. He's just got to expand on that pass rush toolbox. At 101, this is my guy, Dalen Bentley out of Utah. Only 1 full year as a starter, but he's a good blocker, good size at 6'4", 262. I know he didn't run a 4.39 or whatever, but he ran a 4.62, which is still pretty fast for tight ends, for the tight end position, and he showed off his receiving chops this season. And now we get to the top 100. Julian Neal, corner out of Arkansas, 6'2", 203, tested well. Might be a safety in the NFL, but can stick it at corner. So I have him right here. I got also kind of had an indifferent Senior Bowl, so I kind of moved him from top 75 to where he was like early day 3, and now he kind of like peered back up into my top 100. Katron Allen out of Penn State. I feel like he's just one of the most consistent running backs in this class. It's not a great running back class. Currently still my running back 3. He might not test well, and that's okay. He can absorb tackles and fight right through them. Looked good this year, but a very okay back. That's the thing, a very okay back. We got Brian Parker II out of Duke, 6'5", 309 pounds. Might be a center, might be a guard. Maybe even if injuries hit in a pinch, he can play tackle for you. He did play tackle over at Duke. At 97, I have Kamari Ramsey out of USC. Didn't really play how I expected in the slot this year. I remember watching his 2024 tape. Oh, this guy can be really good in the slot. I think he kind of start to put it together by the end of the season, but he might just end up being a better split high or maybe center fielder type of safety. Maybe that's just going to be his role. We got a couple of wide receivers. Derzon Striblin out of Ole Miss, 6'2", 207, great size, ran well. Bryce Lance out of North Dakota State, 6'3", 204, great size, ran well. Both these guys ran exceptionally well. Striblin, I think, is more put together as a wide receiver, but it was good to see him run like that and get some shine because he deserved it. At 94, Garrett Nussmeier out of LSU. It's a 4th round grade, but he sneaks in here in the top 100. He plays the quarterback position. Who's quarterback 3 in this class? Somebody needs to step up and be quarterback 3. I was very encouraged to see how he did at the Senior Bowl. I will say, if someone else kind of brings this up, I think it was a little bit of a red flag when he was like, yeah, I had this like abdominal or rib injury and we just couldn't figure out what it was. And it just plagued me all year. But I'm better now. What? That's scary. Oh, we didn't find out what it was, but I'm good now. That's sus. That's straight sus. Now we get to guys I have true top 100 grades on, and we're starting with a couple of my guys, or I guess a few my guys. At 91, I got a running back, Jonah Coleman out of Washington. I just love those bowling ball builds, 5'8", 220 pounds. Was hoping he would test out the combine. We'll see him at his pro day. Then at 92, linebacker Caleb Alarms, or at a TCU. Just a freak. Ran one of the fastest or faster linebacker times in the 40. Just built well. Looked really good. Really solid at the Senior Bowl, where he was a part of a team, well, full of monsters. You see Bryce Betcher there at 85, and there was Jacob Rodriguez and Kyle Lewis. Just, it's kind of hard to shine when you were amongst the stars. And then at 93, defensive tackle Nick Barrett out of South Carolina. Been a big fan of his. High floor, just going to be a really good run defender. There's some pass rush upside with his suddenness and such. A good 10-yard split, so there's some get off there as well. And then 2 corners, 89, Malik Muhammad out of Texas, and then Dalen Everett at 90 here out of Georgia, who ran way faster than I anticipated. He was kind of in this early day 3 top 100 discussion for much of the year, and I'm going to settle on him being in this 90 range, while Malik Muhammad, good length, can definitely add more mass to his frame, but showed that he could do a little bit of press at the Senior Bowl. Chris McClellan, defensive tackle out of Mizzou, coming here at 88. Just a good player among a very good Mizzou defensive line this past season. And then Trey Zune, the third center, played tackle, left tackle at Texas A&M this past year. Did take some snaps at center over the course of the season. Unfortunately, I think it was day 1 of the Senior Bowl. He hurt his foot, but look forward to seeing him on his pro day. Charles Demmons, corner out of Stephen F. Austin's been a my guy this whole process. People will have him, I think, in the early to mid day 3 range. I had him in my top 100 going into the Senior Bowl, and kind of moved up a little bit. Tested really well at the combine. Good on him. Bryce Betcher, I kind of already mentioned. This dude's just always around the football. Linebacker out of Oregon. And then at 84, Elijah Surratt, wide receiver out of Indiana. He's not going to blow anyone away with his testing numbers, but just a good player, good and physical at the catch point. I would say solid route runner. He's not going to create separation consistently, but he does so with a big catch radius and just a good body type. Jalen Kilgore, safety out of South Carolina here at 83, tested exceptionally well. Kind of played the Nick Emanuari role this past year at South Carolina. I think he's probably going to be a dude you want to play in the slot or as a box safety. Let's keep rolling. Let's keep moving. At 82, a big riser on my board, Micah Morris out of Georgia, tested exceptionally well at the combine. Just thick mass, shedded about 10 pounds. Him being 346 pounds, I think is from the Shrine. But he was down to, I think, about 332, and he ran exceptionally well. Just those, Georgia produces good offensive linemen. At 81, Michael Trigg out of Baylor. Built different, 6'4", 240, but golly, the wingspan, the length on him, it's impressive. He's very good at the very strong at the catch point. Wish he could be more consistent, but now he's coming off back-to-back years of very good production after, well, questionable exits from USC and Ole Miss. At 80, it's easy to forget about Connor Lew out of Auburn, 6'4", 310 pounds, coming off an ACL tear that he suffered, I think, like mid-October. But he did the bench at the Combine. Good mover, really good mover. He's my top center in this class. At 79, a dude that has been a my guy for about a couple of years, at least one draft cycle. LT Overton out of Alabama. Just the potential has never turned into production for him, but if you watch his tape this past year, he was opening up production for a lot of different people. Couple of, I don't want to say definitely a slot safety at 77 with Keontae Scott out of Miami. Played some outside corner for places like Auburn. Where else did he come from? Auburn and... prior to Auburn, he was at Snow Community College or Snow College. But you just love this guy around the line of scrimmage. Reminds me of, oh gosh, I'm blanking on his name. Plays for the Bucks. He formerly of Georgia, formerly of Tyke Smith. There we go. But Tyke Smith, out of nowhere, he could play a more traditional safety role. I was kind of shocked by that this past season. I don't know about that for a Keontae Scott. Traden Stukes, though, is at 78. Out of Arizona, he's played everywhere in the defensive backfield. He could play out wide. He could play in the slot. He could play in the box. He could play deep. Tested way faster than I anticipated, which is why he was a big mover for me. But I have him here at 78. He's going to be an older prospect. Dominique Orange, big citrus, here at 76. Defensive tackle at Iowa State. Matter of fact, let's talk about 74. Darrell Jackson Jr., defensive tackle out of Florida State. Darrell Jackson's just rare specimen. Again, another guy where the potential never turned into production. With Orange, I think he played a lot at nose, which I think it's fine. It's fair. That's probably where he plays in the NFL. He's a little twitched up for that as well, but I felt like Iowa State kind of used him all over the defensive line, which maybe led to not ideal production from him. Max Clare, the tight end out of Ohio State, got up to 246 pounds. I wish he ran. He did not. A bunch of the other tight ends did run exceptionally well. Honestly, you get a little judgmental when you look at these guys that decided not to run to the combine, and you're like, okay, well, how fast are you? At 73, Malachi Fields, wide receiver at Notre Dame, great body type, 6'4", 218 pounds, huge catch radius. Kind of wish he was a little faster, but with these bigger receivers, it kind of comes with the territory. He's very good at the catch point. Great hands. Matter of fact, I want to scroll up because I think I got a few of the safeties in this range. Yep, I do. So let's just talk about all of them here at once. At 68, I have Genesis Smith out of Arizona State, 6'2", 202 pounds. Dude's a free safety, really good athlete, not great against the run. Don't know. I just don't know if he's got that dog in him. Just don't. But he is strong, just no dog. And then at 70 is Zaki Wheatley out of Penn State, 6'3", 203. Good athlete. Didn't jump that well. I was a little shocked by that, but does a good job of... I always bring this up because it's funny, but he had a lot of fumble recoveries on tape that ended up being overturned. So naturally around the football, I think he's a good athlete. Elijah Hulsey, the safety out of LSU at 72. I thought he tested well for his size, 6 foot, 215 pounds. He doesn't got great length, but he knows how and where to get to the football. Just good instincts on him. It feels low, but at 71, Jadarian Price out of Notre Dame. I wish he ran better. I just really do. He was kind of in this, never was a top 50 guy for me, but he was kind of in the 60s range. He got a modest little bump down from me. At 69, nice. Zachariah Branch, wide receiver out of Georgia. I knew he was going to be a slot only in the NFL, for at least for the most part. He's going to be a slot receiver, bit of a gadget player. Never really asked to run a full route tree, but I think he can because he's a great athlete. At 67, we got Ted Hurst out of Georgia State, coming in at 6'4", 207, ran well. Should be a guy more people are talking about. Some people that I know actually have him much higher than this. The ball skills need to be a bit more consistent with him. Got some offensive linemen here. Let's run through them. 64, offensive tackle Caleb Tiernan out of Northwestern. At 6'8", not long arms, might end up being a guard, tall guard, and I hate tall guards, but he's just a good player. At 65, Jalen Farmer out of Kentucky. I watch his tape and I get Jalen Sabanea. That's just that's probably going to be my comp for him. He plays quick. He's got good strength. Just good mover. Just it's just sometimes there's aspects of his game that's just super inconsistent. And then at 66, Jennings Dunker out of Iowa. Let's throw another 6 because he's a ginger. He's got no soul. This is a stupid joke. Came in longer than I thought he would be at the Senior Bowl. Had a solid Senior Bowl. And then solid performance at the Combine. I still think he's a guard at the NFL level. He plays with that stank to him. And I think having less space afforded to him, maybe surrounded him with a center and a tackle, kind of protects him in pass pro. 2 linebackers here. 2 linebackers, 2 very different linebackers. At 62, Josiah Trotter out of Missouri. Great build at 6'2", 237. He's stupid strong, takes on tackles, great against the run, crappy against the pass. At 63, Kyle Lewis out of Pittsburgh. Not ideal build, 6 foot, 224. Good athlete though, can blitz, he can cover. You worry about his take-on ability. So 2 linebackers cut from very different cloths. At 61, Davidson Igbinosun, corner out of Ohio State. He's stupid strong, stupid physical. Cut down on the penalties, though I still think the physicality was very much there this year. Just didn't get flagged as much. Tested all right for a bigger corner. Chris Brazel's here at 60 for me out of Tennessee. Vertical speedster at a great size, 6'4", 198. Maybe you worry about the physicality of the NFL. Will it basically kind of push him into him being just kind of this vertical role player rather than someone that could impact the game at all 3 levels of the field? At 59, Anthony Hill Jr. out of Texas. I wish he was more willing to take on blocks, but I think he's very solid in all 3 aspects of linebacker: run defense, coverage, and pass rush. Eli Stowers is here at 58. The tight end out of Vandy jumped through the roof. Great athlete. He's 239. No kidding. Should be a great athlete, but he was a great athlete. Historic, I believe, in the vert. I thought the ball skills were here and there this past season, but he's got ball skills. Maybe it's just catching the ball through traffic. This feels low. Did I miss R. Mason? No, I think R. Mason I have just ahead of him. Matter of fact, let's scoot up one. There it is. Let's talk about all 3 of these edge players all at once, though. So I have at 57, Cassius Howell out of Texas A&M. Historically low or historically small arms. It's an uphill battle. I'm glad he came in at 253. I'm glad he ran well. I still feel like he's a DPR. How high are you going to take that? He's just an outlier, and I'm just low on outliers. R. Mason Thomas out of Oklahoma, 6'2", 241. I think he plays the run better than Cassius Howell. I think he's stronger than Cassius Howell. Still, sub 32-inch arms. I don't love that. And, I mean, he's lighter in the pants, too. But at 55, I have Joshua Josephs out of Tennessee. I wish he tested at the Combine, but he came in at 242, still has plenty of weight he could throw on that frame. He's got 34-inch arms. He's better against the run than I think people give him credit for. But I still wish there was a little bit more weight in the lower body. Let's move on to 54. It's Jeremy Bernard, wide receiver at Alabama. It just reminds me so much of Jawan Jennings. I loved Jawan Jennings coming out, and by love, I mean I liked him somewhere on day 2. And I said this in my wide receiver rankings where he was wide receiver 14, and I was like, you know what? Like, I love Jeremy Bernard's game. I just kept talking about it. I need to push him up because I love his game. He reminds me of Jawan Jennings. I don't know why I have him so low. I'm going to move him up. And then he tests relatively well. Encouraging testing numbers from him. So I moved him up. He's here at 54. 53, Blake Miller out of Clemson. I know the bench was good for him, but the bench isn't always indicative of play strength in the NFL. I still think his power profile is lacking, but I could definitely see a starting caliber tackle someday. And then I got 2 edges. At 51, Denai Dennis Sutton out of Penn State. Big riser after a surprising performance at the Combine. And then Gabe Akis out of Illinois, the Gabe Akis. I love Gabe Akis. Great at the Senior Bowl. Both these guys had very similar pass rush win rates. It was around that 15%, which is modest. It's kind of whatever. But they're both, I think, good against the run. They're 3-down players. And then at 50, Chris Bell out of Louisville. I feel like this is even low. I should have him higher. I know he's coming off the ACL. He was a first-round caliber player, went on the field. I saw what he did to Miami. It still hurts to this day. At 49, Chase Bisontis out of Texas A&M. So I'm glad he came in shorter than what he was listed at Texas A&M. He's 6'5", 315. I like that for a guard. Tested well. Matter of fact, let's go to 47 real quick before we talk about 48. 47, it's Keelan Rutledge out of Georgia Tech. The guard, 6'4", 316 pounds. I might have him a little bit higher if he didn't have a potential medical red flag. I kind of wish that I knew more about the foot. Apparently he was in a car accident in 2024, and it was on the table that, hey, we might amputate this foot. He played in all games in 2025. He tested well at the Combine. I'm very curious about the medicals, though. And then I could talk about some of these edges in one group. Derek Moore out of Michigan, here at 46. Malachi Lawrence here at 48 out of Central Florida. They both came in with good measurables. Derek Moore, I thought, did really well at the Senior Bowl. Malachi Lawrence dominated the Combine. I think Moore is a better run defender, and that's why I have him higher. So I need to talk about all these corners in one big cluster, because from 36 to 45, I have 4 corners. I have 5 corners. Golly. So let's start from the bottom. I'm going to pair these 2 up together. At 44, I have Keith Abney out of Arizona State. At 45, I have D'Angelo Pons out of Indiana. I love Pons' game. If he wasn't 5'8", 182, he'd be much higher, but he's a great athlete and he plays. He's not the biggest dog in the park, but he plays like the biggest dog in the park. Keith Abney is lacking in the physical and athletic traits. He's a smooth mover. I think he just plays the corner position really well, but with his measurements, he might end up just being a slot player, and that's why those 2 are right there. Chris Johnson has San Diego State's at 43 for me. Tested better than I expected. I didn't think that type of speed was on tape. Played a lot of off-zone coverage. I honestly think that's where he's best at, because I question the physicality. I don't think he's going to play press well. I wish he was better at the catch point. You saw Tyron Montgomery, legendary John Carroll, wide receiver that was there at the Senior Bowl, just mossed him. And then Brandon Cisse, I have a little bit higher than these guys. Let's talk about Colton Hood. I almost missed him. Colton Hood out of Tennessee is here at 40. The length was good. Honestly, he just checks a lot of boxes. Good quality player that I think that could play in a variety of different schemes. I just think that he's a good quality player. We got Brandon Cisse out of South Carolina. I do think the upside's higher with Cisse compared to Hood, another guy that checks some boxes. Honestly, though, came in smaller than I thought, smaller than I anticipated. Now let's get to these linebackers. Jake Golday out of Cincinnati is here at 41. Jacob Rodriguez is out of Texas Tech here at 42. I wish more of the speed would show up on tape for Rodriguez because he'd be much higher. Because it's been a consistent bump with him. It really has. He went from the 80s on my big board to the 60s after the Senior Bowl, and now here he is inside the top 50. It's just I didn't see that speed show up in coverage. With Golday, if I'm being honest, a great athlete for his size. I thought he was going to test faster considering what we saw on tape. Yeah, that's all I'm going to say. Max Ihanachor, offensive tackle out of Arizona State. A bit of a developmental prospect that's way further along than you would think when you throw the term out developmental prospect. Dominated the Senior Bowl game. At 38, I have Emmanuel McNeil-Warren, safety out of Toledo. Doesn't have the greatest speed in the world. Didn't expect it based on his tape. He tested within what I thought he would. I love him in the box. I think he can play split high just with how thunderous he is downhill. I think he's got 16 forced fumbles to his resume. That's insane. At 37, Zion Young out of Missouri. Probably would be a first-round pick for me, if not for the DUI and kind of the 1 year, hey, I'm really good at rushing the passer. You watch his 2024 tape, it's like, yeah, he's a good run stuffer, but I thought, at least watching his 2025 tape, it's like, oh, did he shed some weight? Because he's a little more sudden, a little more twitched up. No, didn't shed weight, just looked faster. At 35, and we'll talk about 34 as well, because I think they're one after the other. 35, it's Lee Hunter out of Texas Tech. Really good size, good pass rush upside with him, though. Just might not be the best athlete in the world, but he can get after it. And then Caden McDonald is one spot higher, the defensive tackle of Ohio State. He's the pass. You want a better pass rush profile from him, but Ohio State didn't put him in situations to rush the passer. He was opening up production for a lot of other people. There were times where they were just like, hey, go out there and just run contain before you get after it. Or he was even just spying the quarterback. So his 4 or 5% pass rush win rate is a lot worse looking than it is on tape. I'm just going to say that. He's a great run defender, though. All right. Let's go further. Ty Simpson's here at 33. This is where I have Ty Simpson on my board. The starts. It's going to be a big hiccup. Just because guys coming in the draft with less than 20 starts, do you want to take them in the first round? I think if I could trade up at the back end of the first round at a low cost, I would. Now, it's not like he's got the best size in the world. He doesn't. 6'1", 211. It's not like he's got the biggest arm in the world. He doesn't. But I think he's a very accurate passer when he's playing within the offense. He's a coach's son, and you could just tell by his command of the offense. A lot of things fell apart, though, not just for him, but for Alabama in the second half of the season. CJ Allen, linebacker out of Georgia, here at 32. I think he does a lot of things well, and I despite what PFF has his coverage grade at, I thought he was better in coverage this season. At 31, Caden Proctor out of Alabama. Is he a guard? I'm gonna let him fail at tackle before he's a guard. Can he keep his weight down? There at 352. Akeem Mesidor out of Miami. Edge here at 30. I saw at least Alex, Hail Mary Sports, I think he brought up something about an injury or a health, maybe red flag for Akeem Mesidor. I haven't seen that, to be fair. That just came out today, and by today I mean Wednesday. I'm going to look it up right now, actually. We're going to look it up. Let's see. I'm not seeing anything about injuries. But man, he's going to be old, man. Talk about guys taken in the first round. He would be the third oldest player to be drafted in the first round. That's insane. He's going to be 25 to begin his rookie year. Let's do medical. I don't see anything on the medical about him. Okay, here we go. Interest in intel from Ali Canoli on the read optional pot. Okay, I'm not familiar with these guys. Mention that several teams have Edge Akeem Mesidor as a medical cross-off on their boards. Is that it? I don't see anywhere else reporting this. Okay, legit. It is one report, so I'm going to take it with a grain of salt. Smoke and mirror season, everybody. I know he's going to be older. He's here at 30 because if I'm a championship caliber team and I'm looking for a pass rusher that I could get 4-5 years with the 5th year option of really good production out of, I'll take it. Oh, he's about to be 30 at the end of his contract. Cool. We got a good 4 or 5 years from him. I'm happy with that. 29, Avion Terrell, corner out of Clemson. All right, let me get Goj up in here. Gojo's like Kansas City now has pick 29, so I need to know what players will be available around here. Isn't that right, Gojo? All right, so Avion Terrell, he came in and measured much bigger than I anticipated. My whole stance on him, and you could go watch any of my draft videos from the past 3 or 4 months, is I think for most schemes, he's going to be a slot. Well, shoot, he came in longer and bigger than I anticipated. Didn't run the 40, but that's fine. His explosive drills were fine. I don't know how much more I will put him up on my board. Because, okay, he didn't have a bad season last year, but it wasn't 2024. So Terrell's going to be an interesting case. Casey Concepcion, wide receiver at Texas A&M, coming here at 28. Reminds me, I threw this out there. Wish he ran, but there were aspects of his game that remind me of Rashid Shaheed. Became a better vertical target. Now, that's not a comp. I'm going to get into my comps these next few weeks now that we have more information on these guys. But I've liked Concepcion since his days at NC State. The ball skills need to be better. At 27, I got Emmanuel Pregnon out of Oregon. I finally just said, screw it. He came in. He looked the part. He tested well at the combine. I was like, you know what? He was the best player on that Oregon offensive line. I've been saying it. I know he's going to be a little bit older, but I think you could start him right away. Caleb Lomu, offensive tackle out of Utah, here at 26. Power profile's kind of whatever. Great movement skills, very skilled technician. Keldrick Folk is here at 25. The edge out of Auburn, 6'6", 276. Pass rush, listen, the win rate is worse than what you saw on film. I think a lot of that was Auburn and what they were asking him to do. Wish he tested out, is what it is, but he's got great length. He's the youngest player in this draft class. Some defensive line coach is going to be like, I could develop that guy. Give him to me. He's got great tools. Worst case scenario, really good run defender. At 24, I got Caleb Banks out of Florida. He's a freak. He's 6'6", 335. Insane wingspan. Good athlete at that size. Such a small sample size. Really, what everyone's banking on is what we saw at the back end of 2024. He only played 3 games this past year because of foot injury. Good Senior Bowl. When I went back and grinded the tape, yeah, apparently I missed all his good reps while I was there live, but you go back to the tape, it's like, golly, some of these wins are pretty embarrassing. pretty dominant. So I got him here at 24. He's DT3 for me. At 23, I have Dylan Thieneman, safety out of Oregon. Knew he was going to test well, and he even exceeded that expectation for me. He's got just some good center field potential, but he's played everywhere between Purdue and Oregon. Someone that you could rely on being a versatile piece in the secondary. All right, let's move on. Denzel Boston here at 22. I think I'm starting to be higher on him than the general consensus. I see people souring on Denzel Boston. Listen, you look at the guys in front of him and it's like, okay, well, no one's got X wide receiver size like Denzel Boston at the top of this draft. He's got some good lawn speed. He's got great hands. Is he a little stiff? Sure, but I would be stiff at 6'3", 212. Shoot, I'm stiff at 5'9", 175. Woof. But I like Boston quite a bit. I like him at the kind of the back end of the first round. Even earlier than that, I would think I would consider him for like the Steelers. A couple of DTs here. Christian Miller coming in at 21, DT out of Georgia. Peter Woods, DT out of Clemson. Peter Woods took a big drop for me. He was kind of fringe top 10 for me, and then he comes in at sub 300. The length, I knew it was going to suck. I wish he tested out. That's really what I wanted. Christian Miller, he came in looking scrumptious. 6'4", 321, 33-some-inch arms. Wish he tested out too, though. Christian Miller's second half of the season tape is really good too. At 19, it's TJ Parker out of Clemson. Edge, I just think he's a safe prospect. I think he's a 3-down player. He's going to play the run really well. I think he has a big arsenal of pass rush moves. He just needs to get better at them. At 18, Spencer Fano taking a... okay, to be fair, I've never been the biggest Fano guy. He was consistently outside my top 10. Great athlete, though. 32-inch arms. You're like, okay, he's probably a guard then. But then it's like he's taking snaps at center at the combine. And then it's, well, the wingspan is within reason. I'm really struggling about, should I bump him back to this? If I'm bump him up, it's going to be like a couple of spots, but I don't know, man. I don't know. Monroe Freeland coming here at 17 could go as high as, let's say, pick 5. He had a wonderful combine. I knew he would. He reminds me a lot of Bernhard Raimann, who was a former jumbo tight end turned tackle. Monroe Freeland kind of in the same boat. Very good athlete. And best part, he checks all the boxes when it comes to this tackle class. That has very suspect length. At 16, Jordan Tyson. He's now fallen out of the top 10 for me, but I can only put him so far down. Still recovering from that hamstring injury. Big medical red flag. That's why he's down here. At 15, Kenyon Sadiq out of Oregon tested exceptionally well. Actually tested better than I anticipated. I didn't know we were going to get a sub 4.4 from him. Yeah, dude's hella good. For an inline blocker, you wish for better size, but I'm not complaining. He will go out there and leave it on the field as a blocker. Got Vega, Iwani, guard out of Penn State. Big Samoan that beats the hell out of people. Sign me up. I love him. He was my guard 1 entering the season. That's right, over summer scouting. Guard 1 right here. Let's go. I've told y'all before, I love Omar Cooper. He's my dude. I'm finding every excuse to bump this cat up as far as I can. I'm a sucker for wide receivers with yak, and baby got yak. And he ran well at the combine. Just completed the cycle for me. I got the top 2 corners here at 11 and at 12. And then we'll go to the top 10. Jermon McCoy out of Tennessee. His 2024 tape is better than everyone's 2025 tape. Coming off the ACL, you wished he performed at the combine, but I'm going to stick by him as my corner 1. But, hey, I've been talking about Mansour Delane for 2.5 years. You go back to his 2023, and I'm talking about him. Like, oh, man, this cat can play in the slot. He can play outside. He can play in the box. Virginia Tech's using him in all kinds of ways. And then 2024, kind of a down year at Virginia Tech. He did play a lot of off zone coverage. Goes to LSU, playing more press, playing more man, and it's back to hell yeah. He made my top 10 corners entering the year because of that hope. And then he exceeded it. Freaking phenomenal. Freaking phenomenal. On to the top 10. Here we go. This is my top 10. I have Francis Mauigoa here at 10. Whether he ends up guard or tackle, I think he works out in the NFL. He was my top tackle entering the season. He comes in within the margins of average wingspan. He has 33-inch arms. I'm trying this dude out at tackle before I do at guard. I have wide receivers back-to-back. Mekhi Lemon out of USC here at 8. That's right. Put it on my Mekhi Lemon face. And then I have Carnell Tate, wide receiver out of Ohio State here at 9. I don't care about Carnell Tate's 40. He reminds me of T. Higgins. Just going to throw that out there. If T. Higgins was available in this class, I'd probably take him in the top 10 too. Best hands in this class. I'm not worried about sub 4.5 speed. I don't care if it's 4.53 or whatever. Smooth route runner, knows how to get open, can attack at all 3 levels of the field. Mekhi Lemon, yak. Baby got yak. You know I like yak. He's got that dog in him, confirmed. 5'11", 192. Wingspan sucks. Knew it was going to suck, but good route runner as well. At 7, Jeremiah Love. Listen, I hate putting running backs high on my list. I do. He's a blue chip, though. I think he's probably in that Jahmyr Gibbs tier for me when it comes to guys that were probably blue chip running backs. I don't think he's Bijan. I don't think he's Saquon Barkley. I don't think he's Ashton Genty. I wouldn't put him among that group. He's that low-end blue chip. To me, he reminds me of Jonathan Taylor. So that's the question. Would you take Jonathan Taylor in the top 10? I think depending on your offensive line, you might. 2 edges here. Avion Terrell at number 5 at Ohio State. At number 6, David Bailey out of Texas Tech. David Bailey, you kind of wish he had more sand in the pants as a run defender. He gets pushed off the ball in the run. If that's something you could work on with him, then cool. But even in those negative reps, he found a way to make it positive. Arvell Reese, he looks like a linebacker, but he's got 32 and I think a half inch arms. Insane athlete, but the power profile is amazing with him for his size. He's going to play the run really well. That's how he edges out David Bailey for me. David Bailey's got some character red flags too. Stepped on a player in 2024. I think it was in the NC State-Stanford game. And then the run-in with the cameraman after their loss to Arizona State this year. But everything from his teammates and his coaches, awesome character. So, I don't know. We'll see. Sonny Styles, freaking A. I got a linebacker in my top 4. Sonny Styles, I think, sat at 11 for me. And then I knew he was a great athlete, like a good athlete. He was a former safety. But to perform the way he did at 6'5", 244, you just can't deny it at some point. I'm stuck in a world where I still want to maybe put him right here. And I'm actually thinking about doing it. Just because it's not a premium position. Yeah, I'm going to put him right there. So now he's at 6. Golly, you want to talk about the lack end of elite talent at premium positions? That's this class. Number 3, Caleb Downs. I think he's a top 3 player in this class. I know. He came in, you didn't love the size and the length or lack thereof. Dude, you watch this guy on the field. He's consistently one of, if not the best player on the football field. I think he's going to work for most defenses, even if they don't know how to best utilize him, which I think that Nick Emanuari role, big slot or dime backer, kind of like the This a Sam linebacker in a base formation, that's his role to me. Ruben Bain, I'm not coming off Ruben Bain. Not here, not now. I have him here at number 2 out of Miami. I know, sub 31-inch arms, abysmal. If he doesn't have, I'll listen, I will concede and move him down if he goes to his pro day and the arm length is still below 31 inches. But he's super powerful, pretty darn sudden, good bend. I just like him. And Fernando Mendoza is going to be my top player because he's plays quarterback, just straight up. Been saying this. I want to look at my big board and take into consideration positional value based on the rest of this class. If I had a need, or even if I just had a want at quarterback, then Fernando Mendoza would be the top. I'd be taking Fernando Mendoza. I think he is a top 10 talent. He's not a blue chip talent. I think he might be in the same bucket as Bo Nix if these guys were in the same class. He wouldn't be Caleb. He wouldn't be ranked like Jaden. He wouldn't be ranked like Drake May. I'd have him in this tier with like Cam Ward and Bo Nix. That's kind of where I like Fernando Mendoza. I think he can be a top 12 quarterback in the NFL. I think he's kind of like a Jared Goff type that can flirt around with that top 12. But there it is. There's my top 150. That's it for the video. Let me know what you think in the comment section below. If you have my draft guide, then you know I'm close to 300 on the big board, but I've watched way more than that. I'm sorry. There's a few UDFAs that I just haven't put on my big board, but you can see my full rankings and you can see where they ranked. But yeah, I got I think about over 500 evals. I have over 800 player backgrounds. I got a lot on that draft guide. So if you want to go check it out, this is just a little piece of it. Come view more. But till next time, you be easy, my friends. Later.